Hi guys, it's Craig here. Welcome back to another installment of Easy Home Brewing. Today we're going to tackle an all-grain batch of beer. Some of you may remember, I've said before, I've been brewing quite a few years. I've done beer kits, partial extracts, mini mash, and I thought it was high time I give this all-grain thing a whirl. So today I'm going to be brewing a American IPA. It's a 13.5 pound grain bill. And we've got some nice hops to throw in there. Going to do it on the stove, just with a couple of pots, normal pots that you can find in Walmart or wherever you shop. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Okay, so I'm starting off here. I got 2 pots on the stove, a total of about 18 liters or so of water, heated up to about 162, 163. As per the instructions from Beersmith, and we're going to mash in. Fire it into there. Ouch. Splash. And we're going to close the lid and give that about 5 minutes to heat up the mash tun. I've only put about 2/3 of the hot water in the cooler. I'm going to add my grains and sort of just kind of feel it out and add the rest of the water as I go along so I end up with the right mash consistency. I'm just going to sprinkle some of them on the top there. Just give it a little stir. There we go. Just want to be careful I don't get get any clumps in here. Okay, let's go for it here. I'm just being a little bit careful not to hit my manifold. I don't want to knock it loose or anything like that. Let's get around the sides here and make sure it's all getting nice and wet. So my mash temperature is a little low, and the mash looks a little thick to me, so looks like what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of boiling water to this, and we'll give it a stir, and we'll do another temperature reading. Okay, so that worked out. Now I didn't get the last part of that on video because I was in a bit of a panic. My target temperature for my mash was supposed to be 153. And after all was said and done, even after adding some boiling water to the mash, I still only got it to 147. My mash consistency was beautiful. It was actually getting a little bit thinner than what I might have wanted. So instead of adding more water to it, what I did was I took some of it out through the ball valve into a pot. Took about half a gallon of the liquid out of there, put it in a pot, brought it up to a boil, and then added it back into the mash again. So I ended up getting my temperature to exactly 153 without adding any more water to the mash. So anyway, I'm going to leave this for about 90 minutes, and then I'm going to do a fly sparge and get my boil going. So cheers, it's a lot of fun. We'll see you on the other side. Okay, well, I got my sparge water on. It's been a little bit over an hour and a half since I did the mash. Let's unveil. and we're just going to open it up. The mash should be completed now. So I'm just going to open it up and, just out of curiosity, check the temperature, see how it held. Okay, let's see. I have to move it forward here so I can get the lid open. Wouldn't it be a great blooper if I dropped this all over the floor? Yeah. Okay, whoops, a little more. There we are. Let's see what we've got. Smells fantastic. Okay, so after 90 minutes, we went from 153 to 148. And that's not too bad. I don't mind that. 148 is still an acceptable mash temperature, and that's 90 minutes. So I didn't check it after 60. I didn't want to open the mash tun. So that's all good. That's finished. I'm going to finish heating up my sparge water, and that's going to be 168, 170-ish. And I'm going to use a colander to do my fly sparge. Now, I was debating on which kind of sparge method to do, fly or batch. Because it's my first all grain, I really want to get as much efficiency as I can. I'm going to do a fly sparge, and in another batch after this, maybe I'll try the batch sparge method. I don't think there's any much of a difference. John Palmer says that, and some of his affiliates say that there's really not a noticeable difference in the efficiency. Very, very little, not enough to warrant worrying about which way to do it. If you want to be a little less interactive with the sparge procedure, then you would do a batch sparge. But I'm going to do this just because. Okay. So let's get cracking here. All right, we're going to do our first runnings. It's very difficult to videotape something like this when you're doing it for the first time. So it's not the best video in the world. So we're just going to gently grab our first gallon or so. So I'm just going to fill this jug right up. Gently, so I don't disturb the grains. Pour it over the top here. See how that's working very well. Gently. I've learned all this stuff from my brewing friends on YouTube, and I'll be thanking certain people at the end of this video for really helping me with this stuff. So we're going to take another batch here. I'm probably going to do this about 3 or 4 times, just until I stop seeing any difference in the clarity of the wort. And then we're going to start to drain the wort and start the sparge. Okay, while I'm waiting for my sparge water to get up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm just going to explain to you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to be making this in 2 pots on the stove. One pot holds almost the entire wort, but not quite. And I don't want to have it too close to the top for the boil. So I'm going to be splitting the batch in about a 2/3, 2 to 3 ratio. So, 2/3 of the wort's going to be in the big pot, the other third's going to be in the small pot. All right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to boil both pots, but I'm only going to add hops to the larger pot. I'm not going to do hops in the smaller pot. You could split the hops in half and do both and that. I don't think that's necessary. As long as the smaller one gets boiled for 15 minutes and pasteurized, that's fine. It's the larger pot that we're going to actually do the hop additions to. Now, when I drain my wort from my mash tun, course, the start of it's going to be very concentrated, and then as we get towards the end of the runoff with the sparge, it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter in color. I don't want to drain the beginning, the first, runnings, and then the darker wort into the big pot, and then have the watery stuff go into the small pot. I want it to be all the same, so that my hop utilization is proper. I don't want the hops being boiled in a very concentrated wort. So for that reason, I'm going to drain my wort from the mash tun into a food grade fermenter, which will hold the entire 6.5 or whatever gallons. Yeah, it's going to be about 6.5 gallons of wort when we're done sparging. Then that's going to mix it all together, and it will be at the concentration that it needs to be for the boil. You understand what I mean? And then I'm going to split it off into the 2 pots and go ahead with the boil. So that's just explaining to you what the method to my madness. So we're almost at 168 here, 170. Then I'm going to start sparging my wort. This is going to take me a while, so I'm going to shut down the camera. You don't want to sit here and watch me do this for the next 45 minutes. We're going to come back when we are ready to start filling our pots and getting our boil going. Cheers. Okay, so we've got about 25 liters of wort in that. We're emptying it now, but it's all been combined. Emptying it into the bigger pot here, and this one's going to boil for an hour with the hops, and the smaller pot up here is only going to boil for long enough for me to get the volume of wort down to where I need it to be, which is 20 liters. And the beauty of this is that if I have too much, I can boil this pot for a little longer and reduce it down because there's no hops in it, so it doesn't matter. And of course, if I come up short, I can always add some water. Okay, so I'm getting these up to the boil, and gotta keep an eye on them. Here I have 1 ounce of Cascade dried leaf hops that were sent to me from a viewer, and these are going to be my bittering hops because they have a high alpha of 8 point something. So that's what we're going to do there. That's 1 ounce. I'm going to put these in a bag. This is an old, kind of an older muslin bag that I got from J.O. Malone. J.O. Malone sent me my first partial extract beer kit. So let's see if we can get these in here. This is going to be a bit of a struggle. I think I'll just put them in by hand here. I just don't want to drop any because I have a dog and I don't want my dog to die from eating the damn hops. Ah, there we go. Nice rolling boil. Okay, so I've got that. That's 1 ounce of leaf hops. I'm thinking of throwing in another ½ ounce of pellet Cascade hops at this time too, just because last minute decision. I think I'd like to have a little more bittering in this, and it's not, the recipe didn't have that, but I think I'm going to do that anyways. And I've got some extra Cascades here, so I'll just I'll do that. So then I've got 1 ounce of Cascade at 30 minutes, 1 ounce of Cascade at 15 minutes, and 1 ounce of Citra at 5 minutes. So there's a lot of good stuff going into this. Let's get this going. Let's do boil. Throw in our hops. Okay, so I'm going to start my my 1 hour timer. And here's my 45-minute timer. That's when I got to add my one of my hop additions. This is one of the other hop additions here. And I need a 30-minute timer, which I'll set down the fourth one here. So, let's grab our first hop addition, fire it in. All right, we're 30 minutes into our boil. I went downstairs and cleaned all my fermenter and my spoon, whatever I'm going to use to get this thing into a fermenting vessel. Here goes a 30-minute hop addition, 1 ounce of Cascade. And I just decided to use a bag this time. Sometimes I just throw the hot pellets right in, and sometimes I use a bag, I don't know. I guess it depends on the mood. The other pot is still boiling away over there. And I'm just sort of eyeballing it, you know, as far as the amount. And I'm pretty happy with where things are. I think I'm going to end up with exactly 19, 20 liters. Well, just, you know, around 5 gallons of American gallons of wort. Oh, okay, so now, 15 minutes left in the boil. I'm going to put in my wort chiller. And you know what? I found out something pretty cool if you do this. Run hot water through your wort chiller if you can, before you put it in there, because then you don't get the, it doesn't stop your boil. Get out of the way there. As well, we're going to throw in our next hop addition. Just get this in there, which is going to be another ounce of Cascade at the 15-minute left in the boil mark. Right into the bag. There we go. All right, a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun doing this. This is great. Oh, and the Whirlflux tablet. That goes into. Boom. Okay, we're down to 5 minutes, and finally, my 1 ounce of Citra, and I'm not going to put these in a bag because I kind of like them to hang around in the beer after we get everything said and done. And they'll sort of be there. The other ones are going to be removed, you see, so. All right, now, I got both pots downstairs here. I obviously wort chilled both batches down to 75. Now, the reason I did that is because it's 75 degrees down here in the basement. A little bit worried about that. A little bit high for fermentation, but that's what I've got to work with, so that's what we're going to use. And that's what I've been doing with the kits, and they've been working out just fine. Okay, there's some hop debris in there. We just let that whole thing go in there. And grab the other pot. Excuse my being in the way there. See what we've got here. I'm pretty sure. You know, we're a little low actually in the amount of wort we've got here. But I'm going to do a gravity reading in a little bit once I get things settled. But that's that's a little bit low. So I'm going to bring this up onto the bench here. So you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sanitize a hose. I'll top this up just a little bit. Okay, now here's where we get in there with the aeration process. Okay, this thing's gonna agitate the wort. This is one way of doing it. I'm gonna do this for about 5 minutes, maybe 10. Gonna lift the lid once in a while, let some oxygen. You can see that there's causing a lot of foam there. And so this has to be done for 5 to 10 minutes in order to oxygenate the wort. Okay, and finally, I'm just going to set that aside for just a moment. We've got our yeast starter right here, which I did. So, whole different video there. I'm just going to mix that around. All right, let's dump that right in there. Woo! There we go. And I'm just going to give that a gentle stir with a sanitized spoon. Get that mixed in there. I have a feeling this brew might actually blow out the airlock, but we'll see. It smells awesome. Lots of hops in there. Beautiful hop aroma. And there we go. Anyways, that's it. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had as much fun watching that as I did making it. It was a great experience. I'll be doing many more of those in the future. I want to thank all you guys for your support and for just being here. It's a great community, and there'll be many more all-grain brews, even all-grain videos from me coming up for you guys, as well as other methods that I've been doing in the past. So again, I love doing the different methods, and all-grain is just one of them that I enjoy doing. Got some thank yous going out to some people, so please watch the end of this video for those credits. There's been some very important people that have helped me. I've received lots of messages over the years saying, I've helped somebody, I've helped you, I've helped him, her, and believe me, it goes both ways. I've received tremendous amounts of help from my viewers and supporters that watch my channel. So thank you guys so much. Cheers! And don't forget to watch my other videos and subscribe. And most of all, brew that beer. Cheers. Into a pot, took about half a gallon, put it in a pot, brought that to a boil, and then added it back into the mash. Therefore, getting my... Okay, now while I'm waiting for my... Shit. Alright, whoops. Whoops. Oh, there's a blooper.